Good evening. For the first time in its history, members of the Royal College of Midwives have gone out on strike. They joined thousands of other NHS workers across the Midlands who walked out today in a dispute over pay.
However, their protests put pressure on the ambulance service, who spent the day struggling with emergency calls. Victoria Davis reports.
The first time since 1982 that we've seen NHS workers take strike action over pay. So let's have a big cheer first.
NHS staff stood side by side outside hospitals across the Midlands for 4 hours this morning. And for the first time in their 133-year history, midwives joined them. It was a united stand against the government's decision to deny them a 1% pay rise.
They've had a pay freeze now pretty much for the last 4 years. Their pay has actually not gone up in line with inflation, so in real terms they're about 12% behind what they should be.
The NHS staff here say they had no choice but to go on strike, as they say the refusal of a 1% pay rise is simply a step too far and has left them feeling demoralised and devalued.
It's been a long time, no pay, and it's about time they paid the nurses a decent pay and support workers.
We just considered a slap in the face, and it's not on, and we've got to stand up for something because we are losing everything that we've achieved throughout the years.
Fair pay, that's what it's all about, fair pay, and that's what we're asking for.
But with so many staff showing their dissatisfaction, the NHS felt the pressure. West Midlands Ambulance Service said it had never seen a day like it, as it became overwhelmed with emergency calls. Paramedics had to be pulled from the picket line to cope, and even then there were delays getting to patients.
It's been a difficult period this morning. We've seen significant disruption to our normal emergency service. We've had about 1/3 of the staff that have taken full strike action, and throughout the morning we've been holding about, at most periods, about 40 treble 9 calls.
The strike action comes after ministers decided only to award the 1% pay rise to staff who are at the top of their pay band. But the government says a pay rise for all is unaffordable and would result in job losses.
Around 55% of NHS staff get an automatic 3% pay rise through their increments. And what we're saying is we can't afford to give a 1% pay rise on top of the 3%. And that's for a very simple reason. We have very clear analysis that says that if we did that, hospitals next year would lay off around 4,000 nurses and around 10,000 nurses the year after that.
This morning's walkout will now be followed by 4 days of staff working to rule, which could see more strain on the NHS. But unions say these are people who care for society and say now it's time society cared for them. Victoria Davis, ITV News.
Well, you've been sharing your views on today's strike on our Facebook page. Jackie Hardiman from King's Heath in Birmingham supports the strike. She says it takes a lot to drive caring staff to such drastic action. Most NHS staff are caring, passive people who take it on the chin a lot.
Laura Goff from Walsall doesn't agree, however. She says it's already affected many people and that's not their problem. I work 7 days and it's still not enough. I make cutbacks and it works.
Kerry Starkey from Stoke-on-Trent says, I support them 100%. They're undervalued, deserve so much more recognition and better pay for what they do and what they have to put up with.
And Beth Bailey from Walsall says, I'm 37 weeks pregnant and support the strike 100%. All healthcare professionals deserve a basic pay increase that's alongside the rate of inflation.
And finally, for the moment, Linda Hay from Bredditch says, we all would like a pay rise. Welcome to the real world. If we were to strike for money, we would get the sack. Well, thank you for all your comments. The debate continues on our Facebook page.